Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited for this session because we're going to dive into the human side of OT security, why awareness matters, how behaviours shape risk, and what organisations can actually do to reduce incidents on the plant floor. I'm joined today by someone who brings a wealth of experience in this space, Sam Thiara. Sam has spent years working closely with industrial teams, helping organisations strengthen their culture, improve operational resilience, and translate complex cyber risks into practical actions on the ground. Sam, before we jump into the discussion, could you introduce yourself and share a bit about your background?
Yeah, good to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you as well.
So I'm Sam Thiara. I actually started in this industry back in 1987. So I started before security was a real consideration on the shop floor. It's different today, but in the early days, security was just purely segregation between the IT environment and the OT environment, and the two worlds never really met. So I worked as in a technical support role, engineering applications, and then working for systems integration businesses as well, various vendors. So we were all constantly on the shop floor and seeing that the development of technology on the shop floor all the way through to where we are today with the world of Industry 4.0 and connectivity, IoT technology, cloud technology, and of course the necessary need and want for cybersecurity.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think you've got a very unique background and length of experience that I think it should be a value add to people watching this, and especially around OT security nowadays. So very happy to have you here. I suppose to begin, Sam, in your opinion, why does OT security training need its own focus separate from IT security?
Well, the IT environment is what I term as polar opposite to the OT environment. They are two different domains. IT predominantly looks at the management, protection, and security of data and information. And within an operational environment, you're talking about the safety of machines and people, ensuring that the production lines and machines and assets are reliable. They're operational. So the focus is totally different. And in that, OT people are tasked to drive productivity, improve product quality, and ensure that maintenance downtime issues are kept to a minimum. And that is not the purview of IT. So the worlds are two fundamentally different places. It's also a different environment because you have operational technologies such as PLC systems and SCADA systems, HMIs, and you've got the industrial networks, and those don't exist within an IT environment. So the technology is different as well, and the ability to patch systems on a shop floor environment are very difficult because you cannot afford to have machines come down. So you'll have situations where sites will have older IT running SCADA systems and they cannot afford to turn them down. So IT wanting to patch these systems can be very, very difficult. You can do that much easier within the IT environment than you can in the OT environment. So certainly within an OT environment, you've got to take into account shift operations. Different people actually running shifts on a maybe 24/7 basis. You're looking at those small maintenance windows where you can get any work done. And there may be machines that need to be supported by OEMs and machine builders, and they quite often have to access those systems remotely. So you've got to manage that as well. So in terms of training, it needs to be dedicated to OT people. So traditional IT training wouldn't be a good fit for OT. So it needs a dedicated capability to actually support engineering and ops people. So fundamentally, OT is different, and the challenges are different too.
That makes sense. So what would you say the biggest OT security challenges are across manufacturing right now?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is the speed at which customers are looking to converge their IT environments to their OT environments. I mean, that's unnecessary purely because you want greater agility within manufacturing operations. The enterprise teams need more access to data The way that customers are actually buying means that quite often manufacturers have to adapt their production line. So you need that fluidity as well. The ability for systems to be accessed remotely. The evolution of IoT technology and obviously cloud technology. So the whole spread of technology from what we call the edge environment all the way through to the cloud environment. So that's a connectivity challenge. The other is that, again, if you take OT technology, PLC technology was developed in the late 1960s.
Yeah.
So we're talking almost 60 years worth of PLC technology. Right? For much of that time, that environment has been ring-fenced, it's been firewalled. Right? So you don't actually get two worlds actually talking to each other. So what you'll find is a lot of businesses don't really have a true understanding of all of their assets. So they don't really have a full inventory of what they've actually got, let alone any network architecture diagrams, which will show them exactly, what the architecture of all of the systems are. And the different sort of exposures to issues that you will have in manufacturing can also be challenging. Like what happens when a machine goes down? What happens somebody plugs in a USB stick into a server? All these so you've got cybersecurity concerns, but you've also got traditional concerns where, through social engineering, you might actually have an issue that's creating a problem on the shop floor. And you've also got a skills gap. Within the operation environment, OT is relatively new, probably 10 to 12 years old as a capability. So the workforce aren't really that well educated on OT, unless you're in the engineering space where you're looking to implement that technology. But as a user, you're probably less aware of OT cybersecurity. And quite often, because of the need to connect IT and OT, there's also a question about who owns that. Who owns the cybersecurity topic. And patching and downtime considerations have to be taken into account by IT if they want to actually truly support the OT teams. And one of the best ways to overcome that is to have dedicated training. It's one of the best levers you can actually pull.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the skill shortage, speaking from a recruitment perspective, it is really crazy right now. And a lot of people in those environments, IT, OT, are being given OT security responsibilities to sort of fill that gap. So a good way to address that is training. In your opinion, Sam, I guess, how does effective OT security training translate into business value?
If you have a team that are aware of what cybersecurity is and the issues it can actually bring to a business into their operational environments, you can identify incidents much quicker. You might actually get into a place or a position where you have fewer incidents. That will directly translate to lower downtime, less scrap, less waste in a business. So there is a tangible difference, a tangible outcome to be had by better training OT teams with dedicated training to give you that business outcome. And that's measurable. From a compliance perspective, you've also got the opportunity to embed in, good behavior, good habits, the ability to evidence through audits about the effectiveness of that training. And I think that's one of the big key points about training is it should be measurable. Yeah. And I'd say that value only happens when engineering teams and ops teams actually agree amongst themselves, what they're actually dealing with. They're all aware of the circumstances within cybersecurity domain. I'd say that was two or three of the things that will actually help drive business value from training.
Understood. No, I mean, it all makes complete sense to me. And those people that need the training, Sam, what would you say the hardest part of engaging those engineers and operational staff would be?
Well, if IT were to spend time on the shop floor, they will realize that the focus for operational people is to keep the plant running. Right? That means, the teams don't have time to sit there for protracted training courses. So production pressure, the need for training to be short and punchy and practical is key. And IT training, deployed into an OT environment doesn't really work. Okay, so it has to be dedicated training, because IT training does not map the reality of the production floor.
Yeah.
Okay? And one of the other challenges within a manufacturing environment is that quite often, where you have IT cybersecurity, it's almost considered as policing.
Right.
Right? And what you're looking to do is to overcome that, and it should be sort of repositioned as the ability to provide security for reliability, safety, and support purposes. Okay. So when you're starting out on any training, you really need to keep it practical, and it should be designed for specific roles in the OT environment. So very role-based training. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, well, role-based training it has its benefits in OTs as well. Such diverse roles in those, and they tend to be quite specific with specific responsibilities. So, yeah, I
And
think
don't forget, Aaron, you've also got the need to train those support teams that support the machine. So OEMs, machine builders, and other service providers, they are part of your extended OT team.
yeah,
They need to be
very
trained
true.
as well.
All of those third-party contractors that come in and might be accidentally in making an impact on the business. Yeah, it makes sense to train those guys in some way or another before they come on site or contract to the business too. I agree.
Indeed.
So given your extensive experience across digital transformation in manufacturing, what would be your advice for manufacturers just starting their OT security training journey?
I mentioned it earlier, it should certainly be role-based. It should look at various scenarios that are applicable to operations as opposed to IT. And it should address operators, maintenance teams, engineers, supervisors. They all have a different requirement from understanding what OT is, OT cybersecurity is. And it should be outcome-based, outcome-led, should I say. So you're linking safety to uptime, quality, and the ability to prevent any stops in a production line environment. And I'd say you want, short, punchy training, micro learning courses, toolbox talks, and a clear reporting playbook that management can actually look at to see that the evolution of training has been, the training has been utilized by the staff, and that can be measured in terms of who's done the training, when they've done the training, which modules that are designed for them have been consumed, if you like. And I'd say that you want to make security behavior the easiest behavior for your teams, without disrupting production.
Yeah, 100%. No, thank you for sharing all of those points. I agree with you. It's a very diverse landscape with IT OT convergence, and training is crucial for those guys that maybe don't get enough. So
It
yeah,
does,
so
and I would actually finish on one other point and say that once you undertake effective training, you also get a good yardstick, a good understanding about the maturity level that you have in your organization. And from that, once you sort of benchmark where you are with your teams, you can help evolve that training program according to the roles that you have, the business that you have, the people that you need to train, either internally or across that supply chain of suppliers and machine builders and OEMs and systems integrators.
yeah, we've seen it with what we do, where we say start with just original OT security awareness training videos for everyone, and after that year, once you get the feedback from those roles, do they feel challenged, maybe not challenged enough, and then start to diversify those trainings so they're more focused on what's important to them. So no, I agree. Both, role-based training from the get-go and starting with something is really important. I think that's a great place to wrap up our chat, Sam. So thanks again for joining and
That's
sharing
a
your
pleasure.
perspective.
It's a pleasure, Aaron.
What really stands out is how central people are to OT awareness training programs and to digital transformation. You can roll out the new systems, modernize infrastructure and automate processes, but without the right training, the role-based training, the right awareness and the right mindset, that transformation, I suppose, doesn't stick.
It
I
doesn't.
think I think today was a reminder that OT security isn't just a technical upgrade; it's a cultural shift,
It
especially in
is.
those manufacturing environments. And from what I've gauged, training is what turns change from something that happens to teams into something that happens with them. So
Yeah,
yeah, very
yeah.
interesting.
And I'll finish on one point. I would say that if the training is effective, it's not a change that somebody goes through. It is actually a transformation. Once they've actually trained well, they will never go back.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. Yeah. Not just transforming the environment, you're transforming the people as well. I guess
Yeah,
that's a big
yeah.
part of it. Amazing. That makes sense. If you've been listening and you're towards the end, thank you for listening. And if you're in the middle of any sort of OT security awareness training program development or a digital transformation journey, or maybe you're about to start one, feel free to reach out to Sam or myself, and we're more than happy to offer any pointers or have a conversation. But other than that, thank you very much for your time, Sam.
Pleasure, Aaron. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
You too, mate.